He unsheathed his fire blade, the blade of his fathers, kings before him, handed down from generations. It was rumored that the blade was forged in the light of creation and granted the wielder unfathomable power. You would do well to sheathe that blade here, a voice called out from amongst the trees. He looked and beheld the dreaded Spirit King. It is not welcome here. Days passed, and the ABIKU spirits celebrated the return of their own. They celebrated the best way they knew, playing. They sang ancient lullabies and danced in unison, cheering and making joyful noises. Never had an ABIKU failed to return. They had always come back because they might be individuals, but their hearts were one forever. As they all celebrated, 2 ABIKU spirits could be seen in the distance, away from the crowd. It was Nola and Burka. The ABIKU spirits called her Kiara. That was her ABIKU name. They spent most of their time together. They talked and talked for days. There was so much to talk about. She told him about her life as a princess, about the king and queen, the people of Anuri. So much. He also had so much to tell her. All they went through in her absence. The sadness in the trees. And also in their hearts. In his heart. There was so much he wanted to say. How much he was scared she was lost forever. He was unable to say it because a shrill whistle rang through the trees, signaling danger. The whistle rang for the second time. All the ABIKU spirits stopped in their tracks, filled with fear. The last whistle, and they knew they had to flee. 3 whistles had never been used. They all ran into the trees for safety. No one could tell what was coming. Burka tried to take Nola to hide when she spotted a familiar sight. Her father, the king. What was he doing here? The king and his 2 personal shadow warriors rode silently deep into the spirit realm. He seemed to know his way around. Perhaps because he was the king, he ought to know his domain. What is he doing here? Nola mustered the strength to whisper to Burka. I think he is here because of you, Burka replied. What do we do? She asked. I think we should be careful, Burka said. Let us wait. The king reached a clearing and reined his horse to a halt. Nola and Burka looked on in surprise. The king got off his horse and walked into the clearing. In the middle of the clearing stood a magnificent white tree. He walked up to the tree as his wife had once done and tried to commune with it. He placed his hand on the tree. He could feel the sadness. A shriek, followed by a scream behind him, made him turn swiftly. Tree vines were attacking his men. They tried to fight back, but were powerless against the vines. They attacked them viciously, binding them to a tree and wrapping them up. Their screams calling for their king's aid were heart-wrenching. The king could do nothing because it all happened so fast, and in a flash, they were one with the tree. Shrill screams behind him brought him to his senses. The king saw dark Omashi spirits rushing at him from all angles, yearning to rip him in pieces. He unsheathed his fire blade, the blade of his fathers, kings before him, handed down from generations. It was rumored that the blade was forged in the light of creation and granted the wielder unfathomable power. You would do well to sheathe that blade here, a voice called out from amongst the trees. He looked and beheld the dreaded Spirit King. It is not welcome here. The king sheathed his blade before the Spirit King in respect. He had not come to start a war. He had come to find a way to make amends and save his daughter. My apologies, the king said. I come in peace. Peace, you say, the Spirit King said, cutting him short. Those who often champion the banner of peace are agents of war. My wife made a mistake, and I am here to seek your mercy so we can atone, the king said. Our daughter lies dying. Yours lies dying, mine is dead, the Spirit King roared. What can we do to atone, Great One? The king asked. The death of your wife and child, the Spirit King said. That is the price of atonement. Never! The king screamed as he drew the light blade once more. Then I guess we are at an impasse, O king, the Spirit King taunted. Seeing the situation escalate, Nola made to run from her hiding place, but Burka held her down. Please don't, he whispered. It is too dangerous. The Spirit King is too powerful. Others buckle in fear. The Spirit King said, but you stand against me with a power you do not understand. Burka tried his best to hold down Nola, who was agitated and eager to go to aid her father. She was very strong, and he had to hold her down with all his might. I will end your queen's life as painfully as I can, and after that, I will lay waste to your kingdom, and you will herald the fall of man. And with that, he ended the life of the mortal king. The tears rolled down her eyes as she watched her father's lifeless body from her hiding place. Nola's essence boiled with fire and vengeance. Kiara! Kiara! Burka called out to her as she walked away angrily. Please stop! He caught up to her and held her hand, trying to pacify her. Please, listen to reason, he said. I listen to your reason, she said as she pulled her hands from his grip, and watched my father die. I stood by and did nothing. But he is not your father, Burka replied. Don't you ever say that, she roared at him with fire in her eyes. He risked his life to come here to save me. All this won't have happened if you didn't come. You were under a charm, and we were worried sick for you, Burka said sadly. I risked it all to come get you. That Omashi is going to kill my mother, she said, and I can't sit by and do nothing. But we are your family, Burka said. We are all we have. The Spirit King is an ancient power. No one can go against him. I am really sorry, Burka, she replied. I feel torn between two realms. I have deep memories of both places. I don't know why I feel this way or how to overcome it. I have to try to protect my mortal mother. I just have to try. She's all alone right now. Please understand. She turned and left. He tried to reason with her once again, but her mind was made up. He watched her walk away, her hand slipping from his. A little ABIKU'S spirit rushed out and hugged her tightly. She was sad. They did not want her to leave. They had mourned her absence so much, and now she was leaving to go against the Spirit King. There was no way she would be coming back. She knelt and kissed her little hands, and assured her she would be back. And she hugged her sadly, fighting back the tears. The other ABIKU'S spirits rushed forward and hugged her. The tears flowed uncontrollably from her eyes. Sadness was difficult for the ABIKU'S spirits. It hurt a whole lot. She struggled and walked away, not daring to look back on their faces. She had caused them great hurt, but she had to save her mother, and then one day return when all was okay, if she survived it. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Continue the adventure with us in the next video. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single bit of our epic adventure.